Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous, with me, Bring It On. So I did solve this puzzle off camera. I don't know if it saved my previous fiddling when we first came down here and talked to Wolja for the first time. But all I have to do is hit the one that makes the funny noise, and then go over here and press this button.
I'll go ahead.
A yellowed letter. Half a century ago, our parents fled their homeland of Sarkoris, terrified of the invading demons. They were certain that the war would soon be over. They didn't go too far and found their refuge here in Canabris. They used what little savings they had to build a tavern where any crusader could get a bowl of soup and a good night's rest in exchange for some money and news about their recent victories. The city looked completely different back then. It was a triumphant city, full of hope, inspiring songs, and brave paladins in shining armor. We praise Our Lady Pulura openly and hoped that the lands of our ancestors would be ours again in no time. Things have changed since then, though. Our parents have left to the goddess's halls. Dresden is long gone. World wound grows deeper every day. The Crusaders seem to take more interest in fighting each other and us townsfolk than in eradicating demons. Overrun has gone mad, now puts all his inquisitive zeal into burning witches. Today, Canabris is a city of fear and suspicion. We even had to hide our altar to the Shimmering Maiden in the basement, so they wouldn't accuse us of demon worship. Queen Galfrey has recently appointed Hulrune to Prelate of Canabris. Now nothing will stop this murderer from taking complete control of the city into his hands, serving his so-called justice on everyone. His previous acts of violence were just the beginning of a full-scale massacre. We have to flee, run like our parents did. This time not from demons, but from the Crusaders. Soon we will sell our tavern and leave, anywhere away from the agony of this endless war. May Pulura protect this city from whatever comes next. 10th of Lamashan, 4682, Swargel family of the Devonmai clan. Didn't we pick up a note last time as well? Here it is. Hylor and the Spinner of Nightmares, or Hylor. Still not sure how to say that. Book the first of the astonishing exploits of Adventurer Captain Hylor, published by the Pathfinder Society. The Spinner of Nightmares let out a fiendish laugh, and the wind rose up, sending the sound rippling across the roof of the cavernous temple and off into the darkening sky. We cannot protect them. The demon worshipper performed a graceful pirouette, as though she were mocking the ungainly Venture Captain, who was slowly picking his way across the slippery roof tiles. May have saved Anthoclitus that day, or today, but he won't save everyone who gets in my way. I'll always be one step ahead, plunging a dagger into the heart of the next fool and selling your path with blood that you will never be able to wipe clean. Hylor lost his footing once again, and only by a miracle did he not go plummeting to his death. His heart threatened to beat right out of his chest, but his mind was consumed with the feverish awareness of how close he was to his target. Only a few dozen paces separated him from the Spinner of Nightmares, close enough to shoot, but the Venture Captain wanted to be sure the bolt wouldn't kill her, merely maim and immobilize her. The hand crossbow that Hylor concealed under the folds of his cloak was throwing off his balance. The jig's up, the Spinner of Nightmares. I'll call it son. The jig's up, son. The Venture Captain leaned forward as though trying to catch his breath. A diversionary tactic designed to weaken the vigilance of the villain, who seemed to be waiting for something on the peak of the roof. You have one chance to save your pathetic life. Surrender now. The Spinner of Nightmares froze, as if considering the captain's words before lunging forward like a snake and spitting with contempt. You will never see her again. Click, twang. The whistle of the bolt released from its cradle, and the swoosh of the Spinner of Nightmares' cloak as she dodged the shot, laughing. Hylor let out a bellow, pouring all of his hatred and despair into the shout, dashed forward, and slipping on the roof, tumbled to his knees. Gripping a jagged roof tile with his last remaining strength, the Venture Captain swallowed a grunt of pain and raised his head, and then watched his daughter's abductor be swept away on the black wind. I'll find you, the Spinner of Nightmares. Hylor's shout seemed to carry far and wide across the whole of Mendev. I'll find you. Now tear out your duplicitous heart. Jeez. Alright, what's in this chest? A helmet. And some scrolls. We have to go talk to the merchants anyway. I want to see what their inventories hold before we leave. That's right, he's not a merchant. He is. I think he just has potions, right? He just has some weapons. Okay. Gloves of the Neophyte. Now, the wearer of these gloves casts a cantrip or a first level spell. That spell deals 1 additional point of damage per die rolled. Seems okay. A Dark Omen. The wearer of this ring has the ability to cast spells spontaneously. It grants them the ability to cast the following spells: Ray of Enfeeblement, Scare, Ray of Exhaustion, Fear, and Waves of Fatigue. To cast a spell, the wearer needs to still have a spell slot of the required level. Oh, that seems pretty good. Hi, Headband of Alluring Charisma. Surveying grants its wearer +2 enhancement bonus to Charisma, which is perfect for our main character. We'll give the hit points to her, I think. But this is pretty good for her as well, but we'll give her that instead. And supposedly, I did miss a... Yep, there it is. Indara. An opposing young Oriat is surrounded by a crowd of crusaders who are hanging on to her every word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Jitska legionaries from the last war and the crusaders. I can't read. The perfection of form and spirit they were imbued with during creation turned them into parts of a well-balanced war machine. Not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole. Now tell me again why I'm supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults, where everyone is fighting for their ego and for the right to beat their peers in it to a swift but pointless heroic sacrifice. Some of the crusaders grumble unhappily, but it is clear they are captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a scraggly and disheveled halfling monk, whose puffy black eye gives him away as a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forward and tries to engage. One of his friends swiftly jabs him in the back with an elbow, making the poor fellow pause to catch his breath. He quietly listened to the discussion. One of the crusaders angrily curls his fist tightly and retorts with a burst of passion. Those jests of yours, or whatever, had come for us, would have their guts for garters. Think we've never fought a mighty adversary before. The soldier's stern facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. The crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. Love to see you storm a 60-foot tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. And I'll have you know, these fortifications were defended by Jitskin, priest craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. They use the enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her hair with a pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher in the history of warfare, 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I'm Indara, a warrior, magus, and scholar of classical warfare from Garun. The woman peers at you apprehensively, then sighs. I admit I am mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I'm willing to accept that this is due to Avestan's isolation from the sophisticated culture of the world at large. You've come a long way to be here. I like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Galarian. I don't narrowly identify with any country in particular. Why did you come here? To witness a legendary war. The confrontation between denizens of a plain famous for its love of violence and the crusaders from every continent, united by the common goal of defending their home. An epic struggle of colossal proportions. It hasn't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. The monk with the black eye grins and mutters under his breath. Maybe she just can't see it from here. The view will get way more epic. She stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside. The woman smirks contemptuously. She does not deem the monk's words worthy of comment. I disagree. The Crusaders are doing a commendable job at resisting the demons. Oh yes, the situation we have found ourselves in can attest to that. But then again, demons are no better. The preferred strategy also involves brute strength, violence assault, unfounded confidence in their superiority. Why don't you join the Crusaders and show them how fighting should be done? No. I'm a historian, an analyst, a theorist. You know what these three words have in common? They describe a mortal woman who does not participate in the conflict, upon which her thesis will be founded. But then again, I'll hardly be able to describe this mess as anything other than a feeble likeness of the last war of Jitska. Monk with a damaged eye grins slyly and comments. The more dangerous the upcoming scuffle is, the more motivated we are to find clever and pretty words to justify, not actually doing the fighting. What is this last war that you mentioned? Last war of Jitska, of course. A large-scale conflict that took place 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. It was a war against the Osirian Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues. The war that ended the legendary Jitska Imperium. An epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in military history. Alas, all conflicts that followed it were but a pale shadow, including the one I am witnessing here. Why do you find the last war of Jitska so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued with extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds, like terrifying monstrous birds of prey, to drop forces on top of enemy castles. Picture gigantic mechanisms powered by captive, and very angry, demons and devils. Imagine standing in the warpath of walking citadels, or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons loaded with shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon that defeated the Jitska, the deadly Night Plague. Its affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, attained pestilence, striking only those who its master wanted to kill. Imagine all these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of the nightmares that they made real. How do you know so much about Jitska's last war? I'd say without false modesty that there is no more authoritative researcher in Golarion when it comes to the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. I've dedicated my whole life to this subject. I've personally visited old battlefields and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives, containing chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. I saw a fallen sky city of the Shori Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from an exterminator-class combat golem that guarded a Jitska laboratory with my own hands. These fingers held the giant glass flask that the servants of Pharaoh of the Forgotten Plagues used to create the very first generation of pestilence that devastated the Jitska Imperium. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything I am telling you about. You wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate. I'll be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Jitska. Very well. The last war of Jitska was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to this war of yours. Compared to the Jitska, we're but stone club wielding kobolds. Jeez. I'd like to conclude my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of the Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of his statement, but here it is nevertheless. The gadfly sees the ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson favor takes them both. I have more than I need. The events of the past are shrouded in legend. The fate of the world is being decided here and now. That is what you fail to grasp. The earnestness of the face of those around you has taken away Indara's panache, encouraging her to backtrack and stumble over words. Of course, I'm not trying to diminish the importance of current events. What I'm trying to say is that from the standpoint of history, and particularly the history of warfare, she falls silent, fixedly staring at the unfriendly eyes of her audience. The true importance of these developments won't become obvious until later. Indara offers a pretentious dismissal. As a scholar, I cannot deny that there is a certain truth beneath your skeptical statements. History is a complex discipline rooted in fact, and an evidentiary base that grows ever more meager the farther the described period is from the present moment. Of course, hard to argue in bad faith. The way the Crusaders embellished their tales of slaying a single Remorak by adding a dozen Balors, for example, I could win this debate. I am above such things, therefore I'm forced to admit that your skepticism is not entirely without merit. Have you changed your mind about joining the Crusaders? I don't see the point. You Crusaders appear to be quite confident in your skills. If nothing else, you presented your arguments to me with extreme confidence. Dara unbuckles her sword belt and hands you the weapon. This is a worthy blade. It will be of use not only for the strong, but also for the wise. And this is where I bid you farewell. For the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey like herds of livestock. It was about time I got back to my research. Then of a smile graces Indara's lips when she sees the disappointment in the eyes of many crusaders around her. Stay safe. Alright, so what did we get? Hey, some flavor text, finally. It's a +1 flaming finesse wielding. The short sword. The straight sword forged by the craftsman of Garun. The scabbard is decorated with engravings that depict battles between Osirian and the Jiska Imperium, accompanied by Indara's musings embroidered in gold thread. Well, neat. I guess no one really benefits from this, do they?
No, just no.
Yeah, no, that's right. She can't even use it. Ha! Alright, we'll hold on to it for now. Merchants. Oh, I didn't read the, No, yes I did. I read the flavor text. Never mind. Alright, so there's an amulet of natural armor. Gives you +1 natural armor enhancement bonus to armor class, ring protection. Braces of the wizard. These bracers grant the wearer an armor bonus of +2, just as though they were wearing armor, and a +3 confidence bonus on a knowledge arcana checks. Seems pretty good. Icy protector. This ring grants the wearer cold resistance 10. If the wearer has the ice plant hex, it also grants them +2 natural armor bonus to armor class. Okay. And then Guardian of Life. As long as the wearer of this amulet is under the effect of the Death Ward spell, you get a +2 morale bonus to armor class against the attacks of undead creatures. To use any single target cure wound spell on a target whose current number of HP is 0 or less, the target is healed for an additional number of HP equal to the number of hit dice. Huh, it's very niche. But I see its value. Was there another merchant in here? What does Pink Eye have to say about, I guess nothing. Okay. Well, we need to talk to Irabeth about Woljif. Irabeth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How is the city? There's a tiefling chained up in the defender's heart. What can you tell me about him? Irabeth shrugs scornfully. Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings, operating in Canabris. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them, and the rest managed to escape. We've nowhere else to keep him apart from the defender's heart. That's hardly a prison. Woljif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free, or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? Irabeth squints at you thoughtfully, then shrugs. You want to recruit Woljif and put him to good use. Go ahead and take him off our guard's hands. We can ill afford to let a soldier spend their days watching over a middling thief. Hope the tiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along. Well, me too. Let's go recruit him. There's another merchant here. So I want to check one more thing real fast. Did any of the stuff we equipped last time have any flavor text? I don't think that it did. Hey, here we go. These thick lenses won't let even the smallest of pests escape your sight. Maybe I just gotta... Oh, that didn't have anything. It's fine. How about this? The wear of these gloves is dangerous when on foot, and deadly when mounted. Are they dangerous or deadly here? Dangerous and deadly. There we go. I know what I'm saying. No flavor text for that. Alright, for the Arcane Signet. An antique ring covered in cryptic runes. Created by the Thessalonian wizards in times of immemorial. It has found its way through the ages into your hands. Is that all that she had? I think so. With this fancy hat, you can avoid losing your head even in a dire situation. Where of these where of these bracers approaches, demons of the abyss better start running. I had just not read today. Alright. Should be able to flavor text.
I know the way.
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
What's been sitting in the same place, with his tail impatiently batting the floor? I talked to Irabeth. I've decided to make you a part of my troop. We'll see how it goes.
Ha! You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin. Get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
Woljif leaps to his feet and gleefully rubs his hands.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can you? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that Big Sister Charisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following?
Woljif is freed from his shackles, rubs his chafed wrists. He glances around, making sure that no one is listening in.
Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So, I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
Alright. So he's a dual-wielded rogue. He has some bracers that haven't been identified yet. We'll take care of that shortly. Eldritch Scoundrel. He has a pickpocket background just like Sela does. Gives him trickery and stealth to his class skills and a +2 bonus on initiative rolls. It resists a certain element. That's interesting. He also gets Fiendish resistance as a tiefling. Tieflings have cold resist 5. Cold, electricity, and fire resist 5. That's pretty handy. And I guess tieflings of uncertain heritage have a +2 racial bonus to dexterity and intelligence, -2 penalty to charisma, and a +2 racial bonus on persuasion when used for bluff and stealth checks. They can use their resist energy spell once per day. They do not suffer a penalty to their charisma if they have levels in Sorcerer or Eldritch Scion of an Abyssal or Infernal Bloodline. Okay. Worships Calistria as well. Okay. Works for me. What does he have feat-wise? Two-weapon fighting, double slice. So two-weapon fighting, your penalties on attack rolls for fighting with 2 weapons are reduced. The penalty for your primary hand lessens by 2, and the one for your offhand lessens by 6. Okay. A double slice, your offhand weapon while dual wielding strikes with greater power. Add your strength bonus to damage rolls made with your offhand weapon. Or a dex, he should have dex to damage instead of strength. A weapon finesse with a light weapon, elven curved blade or estoc, your rapier made for a creature of your size category. You may use your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier on attack rolls. Trap finding, a rogue adds half their level on perception checks. He also gets cantrips. Eldritch Scoundrel, rogues are proficient with all simple weapons plus the hand crossbow, rapier, short sword, and short bow. Not proficient with any armor or shields. Okay. It's a sneak attack. If a character can catch an opponent when he is unable to defend himself effectively from their attack, they can strike a vital spot for extra damage. The character's attack deals extra damage anytime your target would be denied a dexterity bonus to armor class, whether the target actually has a dexterity bonus or not, or when the character flanks their target. Extra damage is 1 to 6 and increases by 1 to 6 at later levels. Its additional damage is precision damage. It is not multiplied on a critical hit. Then Scribe Scrolls, as they are a caster, they can Scribe Scrolls. A weakening wound. Making a sneak attack against a creature that has damage reduction. The creature's attack reduces that damage reduction for 2 rounds by an amount equal to the character's level. This penalty to damage reduction does not stack. That is awesome, though. Especially fighting these demons that all have some sort of damage reduction, it seems. Evasion. A character can avoid even magical and unusual attacks with great agility. A character makes a successful reflex saving throw against an attack that normally deals half damage on a successful save. Instead takes no damage. Helpless character does not gain the benefit of evasion, so just like our mount, so like a spell like Fireball, allows you to make a reflex saving throw. A sneak attack, so that increases by another 1 to 6. Danger Sense, at 3rd level, a rogue gains a +1 bonus on reflex saves to avoid traps, and a +1 dodge bonus armor class against attacks made by traps. These bonuses increase by 1 every 3 rogue levels thereafter, to a maximum of +6 at 18th level. Then Finesse Training Dagger. Whenever the rogue makes a successful melee attack with a dagger, they add their dexterity modifier instead of their strength modifier to the damage roll. If any effect would prevent the rogue from adding their strength modifier to the damage roll, they do not add their dexterity modifier. Okay, well, works for me. Seems competent. What do we have equipment-wise? So we need to identify those. I'm assuming they're bracers of armor. Go talk to a merchant, take care of that, and then we'll head out of here, I think. Oh, brace of armor +2. Okay, starts off a little bit better than I was expecting. Those aren't even cold iron, it looks like, so I don't know. We'll just sell everything that we have.
Follow my lead.
There are a couple of things of interest here. I'm not going to... I'm just going to sell all these. Okay. Let's actually leave through the basement first.
As it should be.
Okay, so there's Stoughton's little brother. Guess we'll talk to him real fast as well. Oh, here we go. There's more loot to be had up here. Oh, it's right here. What's the point of going all the way up here, though? This place has been sanctified. You can protect the area around it from the corruption of the abyss.
I know what to do.
Okay, nothing I can do with that. Oh, let's talk to Joran then. I don't see any other named NPCs standing around. A grizzled dwarf turns a blade in his calloused hands, carefully inspecting its edge. When he sees you approaching, he sets the blade aside and greets you with a nod. New face in the city. You picked a good time to come to Canabras. As you can see, we're in sore need of warriors. Oh, show me your wares. Rugged helmet. Summon grants the wearer DR3 melee. The wearer suffers a -3 penalty to perception skill checks. Hey, some unique stuff. Deceiving Facade. So whenever the wielder of this +1 buckler receives a critical hit, they're affected with the effect of a mirror image spell that produces 2 mirror images that last 2 rounds. I mean, that seems pretty good. It's a buckler. That'd be good for, what's her face? We have just enough money for it. Armor of Vigilance. This +1 leather armor grants the wearer a +4 bonus to armor class against sneak attacks. Don't think I'm as worried about that. And Living Ram. Whenever the wearer of this +1 breastplate uses the charge combat maneuver and hits an enemy, they deal additional 1 to 6 bludgeoning damage, and the enemy has to pass a reflex saving throw DC 17 to become prone. That's really good for my main character. It's medium armor though, which we don't have proficient. Well, we don't have focus in. A Smasher. Hello there, unique Earthbreaker. Whenever this +2 necrotic Earthbreaker confirms a critical hit on an enemy, the enemy must pass a Fortitude saving throw DC 17 or suffer 2 strength ability damage. Seems pretty good. You also do 1 to 6 points of negative energy damage on a successful hit. Attrition Dagger. Once a round when this +1 dagger lands a hit on an enemy, it deals them 1 Constitution ability damage. This power can't lower the target's Constitution ability score below 5. Still pretty good. Detainer Heavy Crossbow. Whenever this +2 Heavy Crossbow lands a hit, the target must pass a Fortitude saving throw DC 16. Where knocked back 15 feet, becomes slowed down for 1 round. I wonder if that triggers attacks of opportunity. If so, that's really good. Alright, merry-go-round. Whenever this +1 heavy flail misses an attack, the next attack its wielder makes, no matter if it hits or misses, does additional 1 to 6 bludgeoning damage. So you have guaranteed chip damage every 2 attacks. It's a lot of unique stuff here. We're going to go over all of it, because I like unique weapons. Pain Channeler. This +1 Falcata grants its wearer a +2 bonus on attack rolls for all touch attacks. Alright, Bastard Sword +1. Butcher of the Undead. This +1 Great Club grants its wielder a +1 bonus on attack rolls against undead creatures. Roaring Hand Axe. This +1 Hand Axe deals an additional 1 sonic damage on a hit. Light Crossbow of Force. Whenever this +1 Light Crossbow confirms a critical hit, it deals 2 to 4 force damage to all enemies in a 10-foot radius. Lighthammer of Righteousness. This +1 Lighthammer deals an additional +1 holy damage on a hit. Really good for a, very thematic for a paladin. Light Mace of Sever Strike. Whenever this +1 Light Mace confirms a critical hit, it deals an additional 1 to 8 damage. Acrid Sickle. This +1 Sickle deals an additional 1 to 3 acid damage on a hit. Looks like that might be it. Devastating Blow from Above. Remember, the wielder of this +1 long spear lands a hit while mounted. Does additional 1 to 4 piercing damage. Okay, we're buying this, I think. Oh, I can't afford it, can I? You know what? No, we can sell this. I don't care for this thing at all. Only 300 gold, though. Well, I might end up regretting this later on. But I don't think we need this. But my glaive that I have is so good. But I need a long spear in order to use my dazzling display. So you know what? We're doing this. We'll hold on to this in case we come across someone else who can use two-handed weapons. Because I still think this is a really quality weapon this early on. But also, we don't really get to use its special effect with our Order of the Cockatree special effect. Because it's only the fear effect on this only lasts for a round. We only get 1 attack per round right now. So if we attack someone, we trigger that, and everybody runs away, it's going to wear off before we can attack them. and get that bonus to our attack. Hello, hello. What can I do for you? You know everyone in Canabris by sight. Well, not everyone. I make it my business to know the people who might need my services. Blacksmith's work isn't just at the anvil, you know. Of your kind, we only have one or two at a push. There's Gemmel, the tavern keeper. Great lad, even if he's not one for talking. Are you Staunton Vane's brother? Yep, where he goes, I go. That's how we've always done it. Even before the world wound. I forge the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it. He brings it back to me, and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything's changed since then, of course. But that part has stayed the same. How is Staunton to blame for the fall of Dresden? I've told this story so many times already. Well, the telling it one more time won't kill me. Blacksmith sighs. Dresden was built after the First Crusade. Back when it seemed like victory was ours for the taking. That the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of Old Sarkoris was thoroughly diminished. Many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all our hopes, not on Mendev's ambitions, though you're not supposed to say that out loud. What a city it was, Don Quixote. You can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the Five Kings Mountains. Queen Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the Crusade movement, monument to its glory and a beacon of hope for all Golarion. Heroes were drawn there to seek fame and glory, and they came from all over. Taldor, Garoon, Yanjia, Archia. I couldn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valor was kept there. A banner that had been carried into battle by Iomade herself, back when she was still human. That banner protected the city, and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls. As long as the banner was in its place, Dresden was invincible, or so we thought. But then the world wound suddenly expanded. The demons launched a new onslaught, and folks started saying it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young officer was tempted by a beautiful woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging in the city, that its rightful place was in the battlefield. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor, and convinced him that he could be a hero as great as Iomade herself. The poor fool believed her. He rounded up some of his hot-headed friends, and carried the banner outside the city gates on an unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them within seconds, but for some reason, the courageous ringleader was spared. A whole army teleported into Dresden. It was a bloodbath. Jorn solemnly shakes his head. As you can guess, an officer was called Staunton Vane. The woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon. It was Monago, that foul wretch. She's given us a lot of grief here in Canabris, too. Just don't ask me what I was doing while my brother was off having tryst with that beast, or why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. Blacksmith gestures off as if to ward the inevitable reprobation. Who could have guessed it would end like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth. I blame myself every day, looking at his plight. So that's the story. Why do you have your forge here, in the tavern yard? Wherever I am, that's where my forge is. A true master of any craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course. Now just a pile of charred stone and metal. I've still got my hands. That means I can work. Show radiance to Joran. You recognize this sword? Do I recognize it? Of course I do. I made this with my own hands. Here's my brand, see? The dwarf carefully takes the sword out in his hands, gazing at it like a doting father. Oh, Yanio. Things have been tough without you. At least we've still got your sword. That's something. Jorn returns the sword to you. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted, they break. But sometimes a weapon can preserve. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm no authority on these things. But something like an echo of the deeds done with that weapon. Or more like the reflection of the wielder's soul. I don't know. I'll say one thing. Take care of that sword. Yaniel may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they need to turn tail and run when they see radiance. Ach, the scabbard's all worn. We can't be having a fine sword like this being carried around in this tatty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like it. The city stands strong when both survive. Come see me again, and I'll have it ready. No charge. I have to go. Thorag watch over you. If you need something from me, don't be afraid to stop by. Well, okay. I have a suspicion that Radiance is going to end up being a Holy Avenger. I don't even know if the Pathfinder setting has Holy Avengers for Paladins. But I think that's what it's going to end up being. Or at least the Pathfinder equivalent of a Holy Avenger. Alright, I'm going to call the episode here. We did not do what I want to do this episode. I wanted to leave and head to a new area, but there's still a lot more talking to take care of. I'm glad that I did. And I finally found a long spear for my character, so I can finally cast Dazzling Display, and it's a perfect fit. Or for my main character. Now I just need to get that breastplate that adds bludgeoning damage on charge, and I'm all set. Really ramp up that DPS. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.